I enrolled my daughter in the sport my husband said girls shouldn't play and took her to nationals while he was at his family's hunting trip. My husband Mark grew up in a family where hunting trip every November is basically sacred. 3 generations of men, same cabin, same week, no exceptions. I never minded it because honestly it gave me a break and gave our daughter Reese some one-on-one time with just me. 2 years ago she saw wrestling on TV during the Olympics and got obsessed. Kept asking if she could join the youth wrestling club at the rec center. I brought it up to Mark over dinner one night, just casually, like, hey, Reese wants to try wrestling. He didn't even look up from his plate. He goes, absolutely not. I asked why and he said because it's a boys' sport. She'll be rolling around on a mat with boys touching her. No daughter of mine is doing that. I tried to explain it's not like that. There's girls divisions, girls tournaments. It's a real growing thing. He cut me off and said, I don't care what it's become. Girls shouldn't be wrestling. End of discussion. I let it go that night because I didn't want to fight in front of Reese, but I didn't actually let it go. A week later, I signed her up anyway. Found a club 20 minutes from us that had a solid girls program, paid for it out of my own savings account so it wouldn't show up on the joint card, and told Mark she was doing an after-school fitness thing with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays. He never asked follow-up questions because he genuinely did not care, which honestly told me everything about how much thought he'd put into his original no. Reese took to it immediately. Like scary fast. Her coach, this woman named Priya who used to compete herself, pulled me aside after like the 3rd practice and said, your daughter's got something. I don't say that to every parent. Within 8 months Reese was placing at regional tournaments. By this past spring she qualified for the youth nationals out in Ohio. I knew I had a decision to make. Nationals fell on the exact same week as the hunting trip. Same week every year, non-negotiable for Mark and his dad and his brothers. I thought about telling him before. I really did. But I knew what would happen. He'd either forbid it outright or he'd make it this whole production where I'm fighting him for permission to support our daughter's actual talent. So I made a choice. I told him I was taking Reese to visit my sister for the week while he was gone. He said fine, have fun, and left for the cabin Sunday morning with his dad and brother like always. No cell service up there, which I knew going in. We flew to Ohio. Reese wrestled 5 matches over 3 days. She lost her first one and I watched her sit in the corner with her hood up, just devastated, and I went over and said, you get back up. That's the whole sport. Get back up. She won her next 4, pinned a girl in the semifinal in under a minute, took 3rd in her weight class at the actual national tournament. When they put the bronze medal around her neck, she looked into the crowd for me and I was already crying. I posted one picture, just one, on my private Instagram, Reese on the podium with her medal. I didn't think about who could see it because I forgot Mark's cousin follows me. She commented something like so proud of her with a bunch of medal emojis, and apparently Mark's brothers saw that comment while they were at the cabin checking messages off someone's truck signal at the gas station in town. Mark called me from the gas station parking lot. First thing out of his mouth was, what is this picture? Not a question, just flat like that. I said, that's Reese. She took 3rd at nationals. Dead silence for a second. Then he goes, nationals for what? I said, wrestling. The thing you told me girls shouldn't do. He said, you signed her up behind my back. I said, I signed her up because you gave me a bad reason to say no, and I wasn't going to let that be the reason she didn't get to find out she's actually good at something. He said, we are talking about this when I get home. I said, we can talk, but she's not quitting, so figure out what you actually want to say to her, because what I'm not doing is standing in a kitchen explaining wrestling rules to you again. He came home 2 days later still half in a mood about it. Reese walked into the living room still wearing her bronze medal because she hadn't taken it off since Sunday, and just stood there looking at him. He looked at her for a long second and then at me, and he said, how much does that thing weigh anyway? Nodding at the medal like he didn't know what else to say. Reese said, more than you think. He didn't say anything back to that. He still hasn't watched a single one of her matches on video, even though I've sent him the link 3 times.